Hey Cancer, happy birthday. I pulled Welcome to July 2020 and your season. I pulled some cards for you already, so I'm going to start. I got the Page of Swords here. I got the Five of Pentacles. I got the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. The Two of Wands. The Four of Pentacles in reverse. And I'm going to start here. So I feel like at the top of the month, it's like things have been kind of destabilized, right? I mean, I'm here in America and I am so grateful to like be here to witness this beautiful moment in history where Black Lives Matter, and obviously, but also just to see America like kind of dealing with these core wounds that have been really making the entire country sick, but especially the Black community. And to see this kind of like fight for justice and restoration is really powerful. And I think it's actually affecting the whole world. I mean, as we've seen like marches across the world for justice and equality. So how does that apply to you though as an individual right now here in July? I think this has really shaken up all of our worldviews. It's shaken up all of our lives. This whole year to me has kind of been the apocalypse, as in it's been the uncovering of what lay underneath. And it's also, you reaped what you sowed. So that's just true for all of us. And also, the first will become the last and the last will become the first. It's kind of like this new world order that is like coming into being. And I think what I'm picking up with this is just sort of you feeling like a little destabilized with all of these fluctuating energies. Like we got the Two of Pentacles in reverse here. And I think this is you feeling like really out of balance and maybe honestly kind of like lost from yourself. I also feel that with the Five of Pentacles here. I think there's just kind of a feeling of, like being a little lost from yourself, because if you're a spiritual person who's been doing the work and has been like kind of tapped in on some level, then this moment of awakening will have affected you too. And while nothing necessarily like bad is happening, I think there's a lot of digesting of what is changing. And so I think things again feel a little destabilized. Also, like literally everything is going into retrograde. I'm not gonna like try to name all the planets. Just like we're in this like huge retrograde phase too. So it's like also this period of like really looking back on the journey so far. And I think with this energy here, I'm just kind of picking up that like you may be feeling a little bit like where do you fit in all this, or maybe feeling kind of like with the Five of Pentacles, like feeling a little abandoned maybe, or maybe feeling a little lonely, or maybe feeling even like abandoned or lonely from yourself, kind of, because I think it's like, for me, I mean, I'm feeling this, like my whole life was a lie on some level. Like it was kind of built on this lie of white supremacy. Like for me as a white person, that's like stuff that's coming up for me, is like I knew this system made me sick and I knew I hated it and I knew I wanted equality, but I kind of wasn't aware of the ways I had been breathing in this poison myself. And especially for white people, there's guilt and shame that comes up. But this reading isn't just for the white community. This is for all of us. And so, however this is affecting you, this moment in time, I think you might be feeling like, for example, like if you're a person of color, like maybe you're realizing like some of your white friends have been shitty and you don't really belong, or you don't like want to belong to that. So with this Five of Pentacles and the Two of Pentacles in reverse, I just feel like with this huge shakeup, it's like we're internally destabilized. I think we're trying to like find kind of this place of belonging. I think that's what we're all seeking, because really what has been brought to our awareness is how deep the wounds of separation and abuse really ran in the fabric of the whole makeup of everything. And now we're like, okay, well, where do I fit into the new picture? Where am I going? Like, what am I here for? What, like, are people going to accept me again? Am I going to be forgiven? Like, I think whatever it is, I think there's just like this deeply felt sense of uncertainty. And like also maybe kind of like what I'm getting to is like dealing with past abandonment wounds, right? And like maybe even if the past abandonment happened in the past and it's over now, it like might be coming to the surface now to be healed and to be seen and to be witnessed, so that you can really kind of like heal it, or just like kind of understand. Like a lot of this is shadow work, right? So we're moving through a huge shift, and again, I've talked about this a lot, but part of this shift to me is about coming to terms with this energy and allowing yourself to feel a little lost, because you're being lost. You're not really lost. You're just like maybe kind of searching for this new identity, this new sense of self that isn't abandoned. Like you're kind of like going on this journey, this quest to reclaim yourself. And that's what I have here with the Two of Wands. I have you kind of going out, and also with this, okay, so like, I think, okay, like here, you were on this quest for truth. You were on this quest for maybe like a certain feeling of certainty that you want. And certainty in regards to kind of like, how can I help? Where can I serve? Where can I become like, I don't want to not belong to the community, right? I want to belong to the community again. I want to belong. I want to heal that separation, and I want to have like union. And so I think that with the page, it's like I'm brand new on this quest of trying to find the truth and the clarity about how I can figure into the world and into like the spaces I belong. So, and for all of us, this is kind of playing out differently, right? So like for some of us, it might be that like in coronavirus, we lost our job. So now we're like, what's the new job? What's the new purpose? What's the new like action plan? Or for some of us, we do belong to a community already, but we're like, how is the community going to receive me? Or how can I help my community? Or how can I make sure that I'm like fitting into my ecosystem in a healthy way? With the Seven of Wands in reverse here, I kind of feel like in the past, maybe you felt, again, like this sense of alienation that has kind of been illuminated. Like you felt alienated, and so you felt like, I have to do this all on my own. I have to be like out to get, like people are out to get me, and I have to defend myself all by myself, because that's like kind of what we have here. It's like she's a trailblazer, but also she's like one person trying to defeat an entire army. And like that's kind of maybe was the past narrative of your life, is like, I have to do everything alone. And now a lot of this month feels like, okay, well, I'm not gonna do things all on my own, because I've like realized the importance of community and of like group consciousness, right? Like as important as my own individual consciousness is, like I realize that like I'm a part of a whole. So like with the Two of Wands, then I feel like also you're learning like how to get out of the old pattern that you were in and into the new pattern that is going to provide you like this deeper sense of purpose in a way, because it's not going to be you being by yourself while everyone's out to get you anymore, you fighting the fight all on your own. It's like you're a part of this big revolution. And that's why I called this channel the Revolutionary Revolution in the first place, is because in 2013 I was thinking about how like I was deeply unhappy back in 2013, and I was like, the world needs a revolution, like things need to change. And I was thinking at that time about how like, you know, the inner work we do to revolutionize our own consciousness may be like as within, so without. So, I mean, now, that's really happening. So with the Two of Wands, I think we're kind of like on this new path, especially with that like Page of Swords, right? We're on the new quest to find belonging so that we can like get inside this church and not be left out in the cold. Like, we don't want that anymore. And it might be, again, like a little bit of a destabilized journey, but I think we know it's kind of like you've been separated from the other half of your soul your whole life, and like you just realized that your soul can be found, and now you're like, okay, well, how am I going to chart my course to like kind of go save the other half of my soul that's been missing? Okay. We got the Four of Pentacles in reverse. We got the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. Definitely letting go of a scarcity mindset. I mean, that's something I've been thinking about too, is like how in this like old world paradigm, we were taught about competition, and that was kind of like maybe what gave us this sense of needing to fend off for ourselves, and like that we were all alone. And it's like, as we're coming out of this period of like, I've been isolated for so long and now I'm trying to find my way back to community. Well, part of community isn't about me hoarding my wealth anymore, right? And I mean, on the macro scale, we're looking about how like 3 white dudes like own like 50% of the money or whatever, and it's like, no. So like, this is about redistributing wealth, but like also redistributing wealth like in your own consciousness. Like, there's a book called It's Not Your Money, and I mean, I think that is a nice phrase, but like I was realizing like how, for myself, I was realizing like I really do believe that like once I get money, it's my money, and then I'm like, I have to hold on to it. And that's the Four of Pentacles mindset. So I think we're learning like how to be in a better flow, because we're recognizing how out of flow we've been, and again, like that, we're trying to heal this sense of disconnection. So yeah, I feel like we're kind of learning how, like, a mantra I was telling myself is like, I can afford to be generous with others. Like, I can afford to be generous. I can afford to be generous with myself. Like, moving out of the like, oh, I can't afford to be generous because then I'll have nothing and then I'll starve. Like, getting out of that fear. We're like moving away from fear, which I think is represented by the Five of Pentacles in many ways, and moving into love, which I'll get to. And then Eight of Pentacles in reverse. I feel like you're either trying to work or wanting to work or wanting the new thing to come in, but everything's in retrograde again, like Mercury too. And so work, projects, like career, trying to get things back on track, or just even this quest away from fear and separation back towards love, I think it just might be slow going and or have bumps along the way. And so I think this is just asking you for patience and for an understanding of that, so you don't beat yourself up like, oh, I should be working and I'm not working, and like I'm bad. Like, get rid of that too. Like, you're doing your best, you're showing up to your work, doing your best, but like there are reasons why there might be like kind of delays or bumps along the way, and that has nothing to do with you. So I think it's like, I think it's saying just like not to not work, but just when you do work, to be gentle and patient with the process, to know that there is a lot in flux right now. And just as much as you're feeling kind of this like unbalanced, like destabilized energy, like that's kind of true of the world. Like, the world on the macro scale is also kind of figuring out like, where do we go from here? So it's kind of like we're in the process of building the new world, but like the new world is going to take some time. There's a book I read, like an activist book, and it was like the impossible may take a little while. So the impossible, you're working on the impossible, but it may take a little while. So now, last card I'll end on, beautiful, is the Two of Cups. Like, one of my favorite cards, everyone's favorite card. the card of love, the card of union, the card of like coming together, the card of finding that missing half of your soul. So I think like you start here at the top, like kind of feeling separated and alienated, but then as you kind of like work through those feelings and kind of sit with like everything you've learned and everything you want to build towards the future, and letting go of like the scarcity mindset, and letting go of kind of the feeling like you have to like fight for your life all on your own all the time, and like understanding that you do have belonging in community, and that like you don't have to hoard what you have because there's always more. It's like kind of once you start working through some of these old stuck like patterns and blocks that have been keeping you stuck, then like I think things do start to flow more, and then there's a flow of love coming into your life where maybe it's like you finding your long-term partner, or like the love of your life, like in the 3D world, you know, like where it's like you're actually connecting with the person that you're meant to be with. And it's like, or if you're already in a partnership, it's like really reigniting that flame or that spark or that kind of like honeymoon phase that like started it all off to begin with. It's like as you're learning to heal yourself and heal that sense of alienation you felt your whole life, and healing those wounds caused by the toxic system we all lived in, and understanding how community factors into your life, and how you, when the whole ecosystem is healthy, then you're okay. Right. Once you're healthy, then, I mean, like, basically, like, again, as within, so without, and as the world heals, you're healing, and as the earth heals, you're healing, and all this healing brings about this love connection so that you're not separated from that other half of your soul again. Like, I feel like you really are finding, and, like, I say that kind of loosely. Obviously, your soul is your soul, and you are a whole person as an individual, even if you're not in a romantic relationship. So, I don't mean to say that but I think that we've been disconnected. And I think that, you know, in shamanism, there's stuff about, like, soul retrieval, how we lose soul parts through traumas that have come through our lives. Like, so I think it's, like, parts of your soul that maybe were lost and feeling kind of, like, shut out. You're going and retrieving those, too, along that quest of, like, finding the truth of who you really are. And so I think it's bringing in this love that is the love that you, and so this might not even be an external partner. It could just be like this really deep feeling of self-love that, like, oh, I've never felt this, like, okay and cool and, like, collected with myself. I've never felt this kind of sense of peace, but I really do feel like also inevitably that does get reflected in the external world in some way. And so I think, especially with this lighthouse, I'm always thought of the lighthouse as, like, you've been out at sea your whole life, like, kind of, like, looking for land, and now you finally found the light, and now you finally, like, were able to, like, go to the safe shores of love, and, like, now you can kind of start a new life. As the world is starting anew, so are you, in love. It's, like, moving away from fear and separation to love and union. And I think in July, you're kind of bridging those gaps between that old fear and separation and alienation towards the love and belonging that you've been seeking. So that's my reading for you, and I love you, and happy birthday, and I'll see you again in August. Bye.